Hey everybody, this is Tim with Op-Ed Daily. I'm here to talk to you today about the oil prices, Yemen, and Saudi Arabia. If you didn't know, last night, or maybe it was this morning, Saudi Arabia decided to go ahead and invade Yemen to protect the current president of Yemen from the Houthi rebels. And the people on the stock market have decided that it's a good time to go ahead and increase the price because they assume that it's going to have an effect on the market. But I'd like to counter that thinking by explaining to you that Yemen has been in civil war since 1962, roughly. Definitely since 1967, but arguably since 1962. And it hasn't stopped for any real length of time since then. President Saleh was in power from I believe 1990 until 2012. But I wanted to point out to everybody that this increase in oil price based off of what's going on in Yemen has no real base in reality, because this has been going on for 40 or 50 years now. Yemen has been in conflict for that long. So when the people in the stock market want to say, oh, well, we're afraid that it's going to have an effect on the supply, that's bullshit, because supply is currently outweighing demand, because Saudi Arabia has said they aren't going to back off on producing more oil. And in my opinion, the oil price war has more to do with sticking it to Russia than anything else, which is the reason why we've seen this downturn. Because lower oil prices makes it harder for Russia and their economy to continue as it has been. So when these people on the stock market make up these arbitrary reasons why the prices are going up or down, it's all bullshit. The stock market is just one manipulated casino. It's almost like these guys have the key to the video game that they're currently playing, and they are able to win every time, and everybody else gets to lose. Yeah, I know the common theme in our politics today is, oh gosh, the United States economy is going to suffer because the cost of oil went down. I'm sorry, but I do remember when the price of oil was, or the price of a gallon of gas, rather, was less than $1. So it's beyond me how they can say that it's going to be hard for our economy. Granted, our dollar doesn't go as far as it used to. But from my line of thinking, the reason why everything is so expensive nowadays is because of transportation costs were increased dramatically based on the price of gas at the pump. So essentially, all this saved money that we're going to keep from not having to pay these ridiculous oil prices is going to offset the economic downturn that might happen with a loss in revenue from an oil company, for example. And it will also allow businesses to come up with ways to bring about employment. But they're not going to talk about that, obviously, because that's, not necessarily going to pad their pockets. Because what we've had in recent years with the price of oil skyrocketing are these businessmen in the shale oil industry that were willing to go to a bank and get these ridiculous loans so that they could start sucking the oil out of the ground, or at least squeezing the shell for all the oil that they can. And now, because that process, I'll just say, that process is very expensive to do. So they have to have the price of a barrel of oil above a certain amount. And it's dipping below that point. So now they're losing money. And guess what? They can't pay their loans back to the bank. And then guess who's going to run in there and save them whenever the banks go under, because this bubble's going to pop? That's right, folks. It's you and me. So this old downgrading of the oil price based off of this Yemen activity, it's all bullshit. It's not going to have any effect on it whatsoever. I mean, granted, Yemen does play a small role in how we obtain our oil, and especially in Europe. But these things have been happening for 50 years. You would think that if it was going to affect it, it would have, been affecting it this whole time. But it hasn't. Because Saudi Arabia wants money, Iran wants money, everybody that produces oil needs to sell it. And they're not going to let anybody keep them from selling it. Not even this little Yemen activity that Saudi Arabia is doing. But I will say that I don't trust Saudi Arabia as far as I can throw them. So it makes me question what exactly they have worked out with the Yemen president in order to get military backing in there to fight off the Houthi rebels. But that's just my take on things. If you have a different outlook, please leave a comment in the comment section. But for right now, that's all I've got, folks, and I will be back on later when something else turns up that's interesting to talk about. We'll see you later.